again. Respected sir and all the staff members present over here. Today we are going to talk about a very serious matter, that is POCSO. What does a POCSO means? That is Prevention of the Child for Sexual Offence. That's basically an act which was developed in 2012. So before we start the workshop, let's get connected. Whatever we had done it before this, we'll just leave that and get connected what is going to happen right now. So before we start, let's have a small session of relaxing. Only the thing is you just have to close your eyes and relax for a while, and then we will start with our session. Just relax for a while. Why are we required for this workshop? Why we have thought for that we need to have our POCSO workshop in the school, and how are we related to this workshop? First of all, it is mandatory for each one of us, being a citizen of India, to understand what are the things and offers going around and what we are here to work for it. Secondly, these are the things we don't want to talk about, we don't want to hear about, we don't want to discuss about. That is a lack of knowledge. We are not talking about it, what is going around. And this is being created because this lack of knowledge is creating more and more abuse every year. It's been increasing every year. It's really sorry to speak about, but from 2 years, children are at home and they are in the safest hand. But if we look at the statistic of last 2 years, it has increased to double. That means no place is safe for them. We as a stakeholders to take the responsibility to understand this and to make others also aware about it. Now, why school have this program? Because the school is a place that could bring about the change. We are the ones who are actually going to change this world. This is the reason why teachers need to have this workshop. Non-teaching need to have, even the support staff need to have. We'll have a different workshop for them. But today we are here just to have for the teaching and non-teaching so that they understand what is going wrong and how we can bring the change. Right? So let's start with the workshop now. Sexual abuses on children are the big lot on society at large and shocks the human consciousness of the society and retard the normal healthy growth of the children. You could just understand at just a tender age, if they are being abused, what effect it's been putting on their mind. It leads to great physical and psychological effect on the body and mind of the child, and this settles the normal growth of the child. What happens after that? You can very nicely understand about it. The child is just thinking about it. He has, left all the normal things which is happening around him and is just having one thought, what had happened to me? Why it had happened to me? Who were the people who did it? So that's a big question on the child's, mind. It does not leave only physical injuries on the body, but also leaves an everlasting scar on the child's mind at a very nascent age. So that's not only the physical injury we are talking about. We are talking about his mental, he has left his mental balance here. And just thinking of something which is, very different. POCSO Act is being voted out at a very need to enact a specific legislation to tackle with the increasing sexual abuse against children in the form of abuse like rape, pornography, various forms of penetration, Criminalization Act of the immodesty against children too. Why was this act required? What is the need of this act? Before 2012, there was no such act, no specific act about it. But in 2012, it was being understood that we need to have certain acts like POCSO Act, like we are having it. Why it was being required? One thing, the children who are being taken granted, like it was just like another crime and it was not being any specific name given to it. Secondly, the male children were not being included in it. If something and some abuse is being there with the male child, it was taken granted, it do happen because a girl could be named as raped, but the boy is not having such option. But it is very difficult to digest that from, if you are taking from the 100%, 57% approximately are boys who are being abused rather than girls. So it is very hard to digest all these things. The child safety challenge in India. How to achieve safety at schools? What are the signs and effects of abuse? How and why to train towards students, school or parents on the child sexual abuse prevention? How to prevent abuse against child? What is the school safety compliance? Lack of professional training on child safety? How and where to report a child sex abuse complaint? Awareness about the child protection law in India. Now these are the big questions which has been roaming around all over India because maximum schools, they are not working actually with it. We are lucky now that in our school we have POCSO working out from last 4 years. The moment we understood and we are having a box also, the complaint box if any child from last 3 years. So we are working on this field, but as the survey says, there are not only 4 to 5% schools which are having this clause in the school. Otherwise, the maximum schools are not. As I told you before, we are afraid of talking about it. We are afraid of speaking about it. Now, before we move about the abuse and talk about it, who is the child? हम बच्चा किसको कहते हैं? This is a big question. We need to understand the basic thing, what the child speaks. So it has a very simple definition. Any person who has not completed 18 years of age, so that is known to be child. Sorry to speak, but the abuser does not look at the age. It starts from 6 months to 16 or maybe 18. It could be anything. So this is what we call as a child abuse. And while we are talking about the school, we are having the students, the children who are under 18. So all these comes in the category of child. Now here is a small activity. If anybody could help me out on this board, or who has a good handwriting to write. Anyone who could just help me on my board. It's a small activity. We are just talking about that what is the basic need of a child. Okay? Randomly you could give your answers. Right now you people are small children. Right? Just let me know what are the needs. हम क्या चाहते हैं? Yes. Care. Okay. Now I'm talking about the items. Affection, thoughts, love. This we all know. हमें चाहिए क्या क्या चीजें होती हैं. एक बच्चा होता है जब वो मार्केट जाता है तो वो मम्मी से क्या मांगता है? Cotton. तो एक बच्चे की क्या क्या चीजें होती है जो उसे लेनी होती है? Toys, chocolates, balanced diet. Balanced diet कौन सा बच्चा खाता है? सारे फास्ट फूड खाते हैं. New dresses, sports items, new dresses,
travel,
घूमना.
Nowadays, phone, play with friends. Nowadays, mobile phones.
Mobile phones, yeah, you could talk about it because they're being first up today. Mobiles, what else?
Video
games. Yes. Some more items for the child is needed. What?
new graphic,
New dresses.
watching TV, pencil
By pencil box, color pens. That is the most attraction.
new bag,
Color.
new bag,
New bag. What else? Bicycle. Bikes. Smart watches. Bikes. Yeah. Yes. Birthday celebrations. Okay. What else? और क्या चाहिए होता है? अपना आपको बच्चा समझ लीजिए बिल्कुल और फिर बताइए कि क्या क्या चीजें आप लोगों को पसंद आ रही है और सोच पा रहे हैं कि ये हमें चाहिए. Stickers, tattoos.
attention.
Huh?
Attention भी चाहता है बच्चा.
That's okay. I'm talking about the items.
Materialistic things we are talking about.
Traveling heavens. Okay, heavens.
New shoes, balloons, hair drawing comes in this category.
Yes, any more?
Shoes,
hairband,
footwear,
Hairbands. Okay, even boys are that nowadays all the hairbands, goggles, yes, sunglasses,
yes, new shoes,
new shoes. That's new also.
also.
Ma'am, earphones. What else?
Speakers,
Bluetooth speakers. Okay, that's not communication. Okay, Bluetooth. That's
fast food,
fast food, burger, pizza,
piano, guitar,
okay,
toys,
think we have got 20 items. Let's just talk about 20 items. If you have any more, let me know.
Cold drinks.
Cold drinks is must. I understand. 21 is cold drink. Okay. Now we have got 20 items over here. Now, if I need to categorize it into needs and wants, I think you all are aware what is needs. And what is wants? Lavish things. It's only for fun, for entertainment. Now, from this thing, how many things are wants and how many things are needs?
Twice everything was dresses. Twice dresses need that.
आप बच्चे की जरूरत की जगह जानिए, इसमें से कोई भी नीड नहीं है.
School bag.
School bag, वो भी फैंसी वाला चाहिए.
Nowadays mobiles.
Oh, okay, it's fine. But if you look into this, right, you will find that the maximum things are not required for the child. It is only for the entertainment. It's not a need. नीड को हम बेसिक चीज समझते हैं जिससे कि बच्चा अपना जीवन यापन कर सके. इसमें उसने कहीं भी नहीं बोला है कि स्कूल जाना है, उसने किताबों का जिक्र इसमें नहीं किया है, कलर पेन जिक्र किया है, लेकिन वो पेंसिल कलर के लिए तभी बोलेगा जब स्कूल जाना हो, और ऐसे उसको कोई जरूरत नहीं उस चीज की. ठीक है. सो बेसिकली व्हाट इज हैपनिंग इज कि a child is required with all the nourishing things happening around. This is nothing needful. हमारी need में कहीं भी नहीं आता. Now the points of discussion over the needs and wants are: was it difficult to select some items over the others? जब आप बच्चा वर्ग के लिए select करने जा रहे थे, तो आपको difficulty लगी? आपको समझने में प्रॉब्लम आई कि क्या चाहिए बच्चे की needs? सबसे पहली चीज, how did you decide which item was most important? कैसे पता चलेगा इसमें से कि कौन सा ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है उनके लिए? कुछ भी नहीं. बच्चे का जब मन आया वो मांग लेगा. उसके लिए कोई भी इसमें से सारी इंपॉर्टेंट है और सारी वो दूसरे के नहीं चाहिए मुझे. What is the difference between wants and needs? As I told you, needs is required to lead a good life, and wants is just a lavish part, जिसमें हम एंटरटेनमेंट भी कर सकते हैं, अपना फन कर सकते हैं. Why would some needs be protected as rights? इसमें से जो बच्चे की चाहत है, वो कहाँ तक उसकी सार्थक हो पा रही है इन आइटम्स के थ्रू? उसकी नीड्स इसमें से कहीं भी नहीं आ रही है. बेसिक नीड तो उसकी भी वही है, उसको भी एक घर चाहिए, उसको भी खाना चाहिए, उसको भी पहनने के लिए कपड़े चाहिए. ठीक है. बेसिक नीड इज दिस. Do all children have this right need? क्या सारे बच्चों को इतना लरिशिंग मोमेंट्स मिलते हैं? क्या सारे बच्चे इस चीज का फायदा उठा सकते हैं या मजे ले पाते हैं? नहीं. What other rights do you think children should have? कौन से राइट्स उन्हें मिलने चाहिए जिसकी तरह से वो उनकी परवरिश जो है वो पूरी तरह से हो? That means हमारे लिए बहुत सारी फ्रीडम्स की चीजें हैं. हम जब जॉब करते हैं तो सबसे पहली चीज वुमन के दिमाग में आती है, नाउ आई एम इंडिपेंडेंट. ओके, हम फ्री हैं और हम उसको बड़े हक से बोलते दिस इज आवर राइट. राइट. हमारे बच्चों का राइट क्या है? We as a teachers ever thought about it? Never. We never had this kind of discussions. What can be done to ensure the children everywhere have all their rights met? हम क्या कर सकते हैं, हमें क्या करना है, ये सारे अब आपके लिए क्वेश्चन टैग लग गए हैं जो हमें समझना है और आगे प्रोसीड करना है. हमें जानना है कि हमारे बच्चों को हमारे राइट्स मिल रहे हैं कि नहीं मिल रहे हैं. अगर नहीं मिल रहे हैं तो क्या क्या जरूरत चीजें हैं हमें उनको करनी. Now let's come to the serious point and understand what is child abuse. Child abuse क्या होता है? It is not only which is done physically. These are all the child abuse: emotional, sexual, physical, neglect, emotional. हमारे क्लास जिक्र किया आगे कि हम बड़ी जल्दी से ना बच्चे का एक टैगलाइन बना लेते हैं, बुद्धू है, तू ऐसा है, तू वैसा है. इसकी वजह ये क्यों नहीं करते जब बच्चा बोलता है कि मैं तो काला हूँ? What happened? Even अब्दुल कलाम हो सकता, लेकिन कितना बड़ा आदमी बना, ठीक है? मेरी नाम लंबी है, सैफ अली खान देखा है, इसकी नाम कितनी लंबी है? So this is a matter to need to understand that you are never less. Rather, you could do many big things. From sexual. Sexually क्या होता है? जब छोटे बच्चे होते हैं तो जो abuser होता है, वो ये मान के चलता है बच्चा किसी को नहीं बताएगा, मैं इसे डरा सकता हूँ। दूसरी बात, जैसे फैमिली मेंबर्स ने, तो वो बच्चे को शुरू से ही इस तरह से ट्रेन कर देता है कि बच्चा समझने लग जाता है यही क्या है। दिस इज ऑल व्हाट वी कॉल इज लव। और अगर मैं ये बात किसी को बताऊंगा तो ये मुझे प्यार करना बंद कर देंगे। दिस इज व्हाट द लव इज। सो दैट अंडरस्टैंडिंग एंड अवेयरनेस इज वेरी मच रिक्वायर्ड। और मैक्सिमम टाइम्स पेरेंट्स वॉक आउट कर देते हैं एंड दे आर अफ्रेड टू स्पीक कि भाई नहीं, ये तो हमारा बड़ा ही करीबी इंसान है और हम इसके बारे में कुछ कह नहीं सकते। सो दिस इज समथिंग वी आर लैकिंग। फिजिकली जरूरी नहीं है कि सेक्सुअली ही हो, इट कुड बी फिजिकली आल्सो, जस्ट टचिंग देम और यू नो showing them some things, you know, showing the other part bodies and other things, so that is also a physical one. Neglect, अगर आप बच्चे की सुन नहीं रहे हो, उसे neglect कर रहे हो, तो ये भी एक तरह का abuse है। जैसे माँ बाप नौकरी कर रहे हैं, बच्चे पे ध्यान नहीं दे रहे हैं, तो समझ लीजिए ये भी एक तरह का child abuse है, right? The effect of child sexual abuse that includes depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, low self-esteem, propensity of further victimization in adulthood, physical injury to child, and psychological trauma. These are the things which the child is believing. Sorry. Now, any act using a child for the sexual gratification and by a more powerful person, act of abuse may or may not include touch. Right? So that is a CSA, that is child sexual abuse. In the context of relationships, say for example, if there is any family member doing it, so that is need to be reported. Now discuss the statistics. The study of the child abuse by the Ministry of Women and Child Development from the 13 states has been done, and more than 53.22% of the children in India reported one or more forms of sexual abuse, from which 52.94 are boys and 47.06% is girls. Both girls and boys are equally vulnerable. More number of reported cases at the age of 12 to 15 years, maximum age. 50% of the sexual offenders are known to the child and were of the position of trust. Now the National Crime Record Bureau statistic, at total 1,06,958 cases of crime against the children are reported, a rise of 13.6% from the previous year is being done, as a survey of 2016, and now it has been increased to just double of it. There have been continuous progression in the crime against children. The total of 36.022 children abused were the cases under the Protection of Children for the Sexual Offence, that is POCSO Act 2012, which counted for 33.68% of all cases of crimes against children. In 95% cases of women and girl victims of rape, offenders were known to the victims. That's really satisfying. Now, child sex abuse, that is, happen usually to girls. It's easy delectable, cannot be stopped, does not occur in educated families. So these all are the myths. हम ऐसा सोचते हैं कि भाई फैमिली में है, प्रोटेक्टेड है, कुछ नहीं होगा, एजुकेटेड फैमिली है, इट वॉट हैपन हो गई हो, और there are many things to offer the girls wearing revealing dresses. So this all is a mental status. This is nothing to do with what they wear, how they move. This is all the mental status of the opposite one.
of the offender. Now, the sign has already been before the slide we have already done. So the same things are, but these are the signs which we people need to recognize in the child. This is being required. So deterioration of the school performance if the child is not studying properly, there is some issues, or sleep disturbance if the parent is saying, or you could see the child is feeling sleepy. When you ask the child what happened, why you're feeling sleepy, and then the child complains, I'm not able to sleep whole night. So there might be an alarming one. Eating disorder, why you're not having a tiffin? Why you are not eating? No, I'm not feeling like eating. Last night also I was not able to eat, or something like this. Or inappropriate sexualized behavior. You may be going to the washroom again and again, or being touching your private parts, or anything like this happens to you. Confused start, behavior, like you could just understand and make it out from the body language that what is going on. When fear of being alone with certain people, say for example, if you are sending your child, maybe go out and with some particular age person, that child is feeling afraid, no, I don't want to go, please ma'am, don't send me, or something like this, then also it's a question like what is going on. Then fear of certain places or objects, so that could well again, alarm for you that if a child is afraid of it, then why is the child is behaving this way? Discomfort with the physical signs of affection, such as hugging. If your child has done in a class good, very nicely, and you hug that child, and the child is feeling afraid to hug you also. So that means something again has been alarming, and you need to work it out. Then emotional, that would be a depression symptom. The child is not answering you. But one more thing, if the child comes early to the school, and while going back, he's late and don't want to go to and go home or something, then also there is alarming for you. Then anxiety and all this, we have done it. So these are some of the signs, that the symptoms, identification of the victim of the child sexual abuse, that injuries on the private parts, or the child walks or sits with difficulty, fatigue and sleeping difficulties, poor attendance in class, unexpected behavior change. All of a sudden the child is very good and the behavior had changed to something else, like then regressive behavior such as bedwetting and all, that could also happen. Then sudden dislike of certain paper that we have already done, or sudden accumulations of gifts. The child is getting gifts every day. Who's giving him? The child is not able to name anyone, but I'm getting gifts. So that's again another thing. Or child starts paying too much or too little attention to his or her appearance. And like whenever a child is growing up, so it's commonly been seen that they go to the mirror and look or make their haircuts or look at their appearance and looking good or not. And all of a sudden you feel the child is not taking interest in him or herself to school. So that needs to be alarming. Now, the 7 features of it, the different action offense, mandatory reporting and recording is very much required. Then there are many other cases that at times, if the child is unliking somebody, can have a false reporting also. But let me tell you and correct you over here, whatever the child speaks will be taken as true. You cannot defend it, right? So that's again in the law. We will be doing it afterwards also. Then emergency medical care is being taken. None of the hospital, either a private or government, cannot say no for checking out the child. And there is no documents or anything required. The very first thing is the emergency medical care. That is the first thing. And none of the hospital can say no. Then care and protection, child-friendly procedure has to be there so that the child is free to speak. Because this was the reason why in our school we had peer mentors so that the child could speak to the other child of his age and make the things clear. Then presumption of birth, then special books are there where it could be there. NCPR, you could just put it online, all those things, you don't have to go anywhere also. Then compensation and child is 18 years. Now these are the acts basically being covered in this offense. Then penetrative sexual assault, that is section 3. Aggravated penetrative sexual assault, that is section 5. Sexual assault, that is section 7. Aggregated sexual assault, that is section 9. Sexual harassment, that is section 11. And using a child for pornographic purposes, that is section 13. These are the different punishments, and each of them having the different rules. Other than the components mentioned above, the acts are also recognized other ways also. That is 16, 16.1, 16.2, 75, 74. There are many acts which have been for the different behaviors, and the punishments also are being different for this. Now, the first thing is there is mandatory reporting. It is mandatory for any individual who have to report, each one of us. Whoever we are, we need to report. In case, if you fail to report the child abuse and you are aware about it, then there is a punishment for that. If any person who fails to report the commission of offence, say then it is under section 21A, it will be a 6 months imprisonment or fine, or it could be both also, looking at the sensitivity of the case. Again, the failure at the in charge of the company or institute fails, then it comes under section 21(2). Again, the imprisonment of 6 months, fine, or it could be both. Again, looking at the seriousness of the done. Then the reporting false abuse. Now, say for example, it could be a false abuse also. So then again, there is an imprisonment of 6 months and a fine. Then false complaints or information provided by the child. Child is having no punishment under this. It will be taken granted that the child is innocent and would have thought about it. So there is no punishment for the child. But if it's a false reporting from some adult, then there will be a 6 months imprisonment. Okay, so let's proceed. Responsible for reporting: parents, public servants, child line, doctors, hospitals, competent authorities in schools, hostels, and CCIs, teachers, that is, in red color, that means the main responsibility is yours, because you look and observe the child much better than anyone else around there. Social workers, counselors, concerned adults, any child or general public. Who to report? That's a big question. Local police, special children police unit, child welfare committee, child line 1098, State Commission of Protection of Child Rights, National Commission for the Protection of Child Rights, NCPR. And the online forms has always been available online, so you could just put your complaint over there also. These are really effective. The moment you put your online complaint, within a couple of days, it has been responded. Now, the general principles: the protection of the child from the Sexual Offence Act 2012 mentions 12 key principles. They are right to life and survival, best interest of the child, right to be treated with dignity and compassion, right to be protected from the discrimination, right to special preventive, right to be informed, right to be heard and to express views and concerns, right to effect assistance, right to privacy, right to be protected from the hardship during the justice process, right to safety, and right to compensation. That means you cannot have a very direct questionnaire with a child who has been abused. You need to take care of 101 things while doing it, and you never need to be hard. The child should not be under stress. The role of the school. The role of school is basically the prevention. Awareness is very important, right? And you kindly go through the manuals. Also, it has been present on the net also. You could just go over there and just look at the rules and whatever policy speaks. But besides this, the awareness is very important for the teaching and non-teaching, and basically for the parents also, it's very much required. And for the safety recruitment policy, the school should have a committee, which we are already doing with it, right? We should also have safety audits, and in each and every field, we should have a procedure of collecting the data and solving it. Interventions, that is, you can just read it out from the manuals. Supportive behavior towards a child victim, assure the confidentiality to the child and prompt with or her with sympathy, empathy. In the case, it has been reported, take consent of the child and you could just go forward for it. Seek help for the child line, it required, that is 1098. Medical examination of the child, report the offense, maintain the confidentiality of the child. You know, this is not a discussion matter. It shouldn't happen that one is discussing with other or others is discussing with the third person. This is nothing like a fun or entertainment, right? Then unsupportive behavior towards a child victim, blaming the child that the child बच्चा ही ऐसा है इसलिए ऐसा हुआ. That's not right. Ignoring the child when the child complains about a person or incident, ऐसा नहीं हो सकता. वो तो बहुत अच्छे हैं या वो तो ऐसा कर ही नहीं सकते. नहीं, you need to listen to the child, what the child is saying to you. Reacting in extreme when the child is disclosing the abuse. So don't extreme. अरे ऐसा हो गया. Oh my God, ये बड़ा गलत हो गया ये सब. No, you don't have to give an explanation. Rather, you need to be very coolly listening to the child and knowing what are the circumstances. Sending the child back to the pre-planned rapers, it is not true. You cannot do that. That is again an offense, and there may be an imprisonment for this. Talking about the abuse to the other in front of the child, that means you're discussing. Discussion is not required over here. Disclosing the child's identity to the media or other people, again, this is an offense. Now there are certain FAQs. This FAQs, I'm having it in the form of video, although just listen to this.
Behaving the child indecently, touching the child with the sexual intent, talking with the child with the sexual intent, so spreading pornography, violation. These things constitute sexual abuse. Yes, the person was under the age of 18, prohibited under the POCSO Act. If the child is below 12 years old, the sexual offender is going to have the punishment of death penalty. It's an offense to report an incident which is not an offense. So private claim court. POCSO is a mandatory reporting. Mandatory reporting means if you report a report of an incident, we allow the prosecution. If you have an incident, you have to report the incident has taken place. If you are sure that the incident has taken place, please go to the police station and report it. The report will be kept secret. All the proceedings in this case will be kept secret. And the proceedings which is going ahead in the court will also be in secret. I mean, you cannot proceedings. It will not be shown to the public. If you suspect that somebody is having interest in sexual interest in the child, then you have to report the organization and not the department. So that the incident will not take place. If you are teacher in school, if the child is reporting that some incident has taken place, or abuse has taken place at home, you will have to call the parents and report it to the police station and child encourage. If you are a teacher for school, you are an owner for school. If you don't know that an incident has taken place, you should go to the police station and report the incident, as well as child encourage. It is your legal responsibility as well as moral responsibility. If you know about the incident which has taken place and parents are refusing to report it, and there is a separate outreach cell in the child welfare commission who will help you to report the incident. If you find any child abusing another, you still have to report it to the organization first. And immediately you should report it to the police station as well as child welfare commission. If you know an incident which has taken place, you must report it to the police station because it's mandatory reporting. We are lucky to be in a country like India, where we have strong law for the protection of the children. So we should do the right viciously and not misuse it. If something goes wrong, don't have to worry. We are here to protect the children, and there is a strong police force and child welfare commission, and there is a board to protect the children. I will request you all to work on preventive measures than working on incidents.
That was some of the MCQs which the advocate has spoken about. Other than this, there are some what are the rare cases. These also are there. Say, for example, the child is being, sexually abused in a very strong way, and the child is, in a very pathetic, that comes to rare and need to be done to the police. Other than this, normally anybody does. You call the parents and inform them. In case if somebody, the parent is the one, then you to complain. Then it should be directly to the child welfare commission. You don't have to speak to the parents, it will be directly over there. In case if the false complaint that we have already discussed, if it is the offender doing a false complaint, then there is a punishment. But if the child is being given, there is no punishment for any child under this. Okay, it's a small movie.
Good morning, please sit down. Ashwini, get everybody's books and put them on the table. Harsha, go collect all the books. Ashwini, is everything okay? Come, narrate your story to the class.
A happy family lived in a beautiful forest.
Okay, no, it's very fine. Dear, my office needs to go in deep. Ma'am.
Mommy, can we play?
Sorry, I'm at work. Later. Later, Masna.
Along came a holy man. He had 10 heads and a scary hand with an eye in it. He was not a holy man at all.
What happened?
Could you please begin? How many students did you go to? Your headmistress says you're the best student. Do you like the class?
Ashwini, let's go.
Go.
She's been reluctant to go.
Okay, let me speak to her mother. Mother?
I'm Kiran, her mother.
Ashwini has been asking her mother to stay at home and not go to work.
Ma'am, I think she needs to see a counselor.
What?
From what I understand, she's been sexually abused.
This is absurd. You're jumping to weird conclusions.
These are the symptoms, ma'am. Before any consultant happens.
Sirisha, that's enough. You're making mountains out of molehills.
But ma'am, why don't you listen to what I
Just stop it. Let us not talk about this anymore.
Yes. Keep silent. When 50% of the children in India are being abused.
Who might be it? Ashwini, why don't you go out and play?
Deepak? Ji Mama? My cousin. Hello. Can you please take it out?
Ji Mama. Ashu, come, let's go out. Come.
Actually, Ashwini has not been to self of late.
Yes. After your phone call, I've been more worried.
What phone call? What's happening actually? Is she not doing well at school?
Actually, don't you ever touch her!
Good morning, ma'am.
Sirisha, meet our new counselor, Karuna.
Hi, Sirisha.
So Karuna, we start tomorrow morning at 9.
Looking forward to. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ashwini is really lucky, ma'am. I wish I had something like you back then.
So at the end, it is mandatory for every individual to report the cases for the child's actual abuse. It is mandatory for the police to register an FIR in all cases of the child's actual abuse. At the last,
this number to be told to your students as well as you always remember 1098. That's a child helpline number. That's all for today. Thank you. I'll be just sending you one link. That's a Google Form link. It is basically a small, you could say a questionnaire based on POCSO and a feedback form.